Hey guys, welcome to the Canadian Women's Team Squash Champs here in Gatineau, Quebec, hosted by Squash Shootaway at La Sportec. We're already one game in here from this first match of the first roundup of the day. I got here beside me Mr. Prez from Squash Canada, also Dad.
Daddy?
Yeah, Daddy. How's it going, Dad?
G'day, sunshine.
Yeah, how you been?
Fine. It's Sunday morning. I'd normally be at church at this time, 9:15. Anyway, we're here at the Church of Sportec and the National Championships third place playoff between Alberta and Quebec number 1. So we've got 3 matches on the schedule. The first one's well underway. Young 16-year-old Jana Dweek is now one love up over the experience and feistiness of Tara Newman. These are the number 2 players in this tie, correct, Dom?
Yep, number 2.
Okay. So then shortly after this, we're going to have Alexandra Norman playing against
Danielle Letourneau.
Danielle Letourneau, one of Canada's full-time professionals on the PSA Tour, at number 39 in the world, playing against Alexandra, who has also been up in those ranks of the World Tour. However, she's now a mother, and she's pulled away from the full-time squash tour, but she's still a force to be reckoned with. So Quebec would like to think that they've got some chance there. And then the third match is going to be between, who's that, Dom?
It'll be Sarah Hall from Alberta, and most likely Sophie Joubarne from Quebec 1.
Okay. So what do you see happening in that?
Between Sarah and Sophie?
Yeah.
I honestly think it would be a pretty close one. I would predict that it would go to 5. I don't know which way, but I'll put money down that it's going to 5.
Okay, so I'm going to pick that we might have a win to Alberta in the second match between the number 1s.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're picking a 5-setter in the third match, this one could hold the tie in the balance between Tara and Jana, and it's a good start for Jana already.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty interesting, the dynamic with the teams event compared to singles event. Often we see some players actually play either better or worse, like depending on what situation they're in. But the pressure of having a team behind them and how crucial it is to win that first match.
Yeah, for sure.
It can lead to some pretty odd plays sometimes, which can lead to some really fun upsets.
Yep.
Or bad upsets, depending on which side of the coin you're on.
We saw a good one yesterday in the semi-final between Alberta and British Columbia, where the first of the 3 matches was a 2-love lead to Alberta, which, if the other 2 matches, results stood as they did, it would have taken Alberta through that tie had they been able to close the match out. However, BC turned that match around and ended up winning, I believe, 13-11 in the 5th.
Yeah, 12-10, I believe, in the 5th, yeah. So,
that made a difference.
It could have gone either way, right?
The difference of British Columbia going through to the final, knocking out second seed Alberta.
Yeah, well, BC definitely deserved that spot into the final. They've got a solid team all around. That's what's great about these teams event. You can bring different levels of players and still make a national class team, and have these really good matches with different levels again. Often it's we see the first rounds being 3 loves and very rarely going to 5. But in these teams event, it's a bit more fun. We didn't see so much this one, but you can get a lot of those first rounds really, really close matches. Do you think there should be a couple more squash events? Probably not national events, but just squash events that are team based?
Yeah, well, the popularity of this tournament it's evident. The player base is really coming out. We're seeing very, very much most of the best players in Canada supporting their own province. It's tough on the scheduling too. You've got a lot of players in this tournament who have commitments to the junior circuit. Of course, our PSA players commitments to the PSA tour, where it takes them out of the country. And then generally, just to get all of these people together at the same time, it takes a lot of work in the scheduling to be effective, so that the event has the quality of players that draws the crowds and garners the sponsorship. So it's a nice idea to hold more team-style tournaments, but practically there's some challenges. Yep.
That was a really presidential way of saying no.
Well, just ask the players, do they have time for another 2 or 3 teams events?
You make a good point. Like, it's a lot of organisation, and of course, if we want to have 3 roundups, then you'll need a minimum of 3 roundups. Will be almost 6 teams with 3 players. So the players mount up just for a couple of matches. So of course, logistically it can get really complicated.
That's right. Well, it's looking to me like Jana she has Tara on the run for most of these rallies that we're seeing.
They're exchanging the tea a bit, but it seems like Jana is just dominating a little bit more than Tara.
Yeah, I think she would be feeling more comfortable with how she's gone so far. When Tara's got herself 2 or 3 points going, then the mistakes are creeping in. She just seems to be sort of scrambling around the outside of the tee more often than what Jana is.
We were just talking about at the beginning, getting past Tara's volley, but I think Jana's done that fairly well so far. Still dominating at 8-6. Nice little cushion for her.
Okay. Let request. It'll be a let to replay that. I think Jana's believing her drive was deep enough. In fact, that's a stroke, isn't it? Stroke to Tara, 7-8.
It's a little hard to hear, but with these new rules coming through about the strokes, it's sometimes hard to differentiate when it is a stroke and not. Honestly, I get confused now with that specific shot, the drive down the wall. Sometimes it's a stroke, sometimes not. It depends. It depends on the ref too. So I don't really know with the new rules if that would have been a let or a stroke in the rule book.
It's a key rally here. Tara's had a string of 3 points to even at 8-all. This is a nice exchange going on now. And she left Jana well open at the front. Puts it away.
Notice that very few points were won on cross courts this weekend.
Yeah, okay.
And just seeing that point finishing on the cross court. With a bit narrower courts, it's easier to cut those off.
There's another good cross court there, Don.
Yeah, there you go.
But Tara wasn't up to cut that one off. Now it's going to point.
Just
a 2-love lead for Jana. Okay, fortunate boast there. See what Tara's got.
Yeah, she still has a chance at this. There's no way out of it yet. There you go.
Another cross court. Cross court's working quite well there.
Yeah, of course. So there you go. 11-9 for Jana. 2-love lead now. She seems to be a little bit more comfortable on the court now. Got the morning tiredness out of her. Do you think overall Jana is just having better shot quality, cutting off a little bit more than Tara?
Yeah, well, I think she's got a capacity to be able to mix her game up for long and short. Tara seems to be scrambling a bit more than what Jana is doing. But that's Tara's game too. She is a scrambler. She survives in her squash by retrieving, and she's very mobile around the court. I mean, in that game, at the very end there was a fortunate cross-court nick from Jana to win the game, but it's the difference of what could be a lucky shot as compared to something that Tara could have managed easily enough, and could it have been 10 all, and it would have been interesting. However, it's the way things happen, isn't it?
It's the way she goes.
Alberta leads 2 games to love. Love all. One love.
Okay, welcome back to this third game now, first match. Jana seems to be sort of comfortably going through this game, though it was 11-9 in the last game. But just seems to have a little bit more edge to her shots and getting that ball past Tara a little bit more.
And out. 1-2.
Nice pickup.
There's not that many people back in the crowd yet, so the court's not incredibly hot, but I'm sure for the gold medal match it'll fill up, and that court will really warm up. Especially yesterday, you could really see the difference, the ball bouncing up really high from having a lot of people in the back.
Yeah.
And it really warmed up the place.
Yeah, well, these are pretty fast courts.
Yeah.
They are the best of times, so yeah, when it's warm in this club, the ball can really move. And it takes a bit of adjustment too, right?
Yeah.
The players are also playing on these courts at Sportec,
Yeah.
1 foot narrower than a regular squash court. So from the centre, 6 inches difference on the left and right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 inches closer to the tee, which can favour a person who likes to volley and cut the ball off, but it also seems to just accentuate that hard driving game. Because a little bit narrower, fast ball, fast walls.
Converted racquetball, that's right.
Converted racquetball, that's right. Yeah.
I think the panels are also from another racquetball court.
Well,
Fresh panels.
yeah, they very much could be. I mean, the courts were built about 35 years ago when Sportec was originally built. It was very much a racquetball club at that point. But of course, it converted over to squash probably a couple of decades ago, and now really there are no racquetball courts here at all. It's solely squash plus tennis, CrossFit, swimming, gymnasium, all the other facilities that serve the membership here, about 5,000 people.
I believe that when this place first opened, it was just racquetball courts, right?
Yeah, I believe so. But the need for squash that came along soon after. Okay, well, look, quite a lead here. Jana stretching out 7-1. She's really putting the hammer down now. Tara's going to face an uphill battle to keep her game composed and try and strike a few winners if she's going to get back into this. But
Jana just seems to be a bit too strong now, making less mistakes than.
That's right.
Oh, there you go. That was a good shot from Tara, though.
It was a good shot.
Yeah. This thing, you just can't leave anything in the middle for Tara.
It's Mark Chatterley, who's just joined the crowd in the Grandstand there, sitting next to referee Steve Oakey. Another lucky cross-court nick there. She's been fortunate, Jana has, but sometimes, the luck rolls the same way, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes it does. For good or bad,
Yeah.
it goes one way, that's for sure.
I must say, Tara's perseverant with that lob serve, backhand lob serve. On these courts, that's a difficult shot to play with consistency and not make the mistake of hitting it out. But anyway, she's done well. She's scampering now in this rally. That's the Tara I've come to know. Look at that. Good effort, but not quite for the retrieve on that last shot. 9-4. It's a big gap.
Jana just seems to be running away with us now. Something will have to go pretty badly.
11-9, 11-4.
There's quite a bit of delay. Here we go. So 10-4 now for Jana. She's comfortably winning this last game now. And there you go, finishes with a pretty
Lovely.
confident cross-court nick.
Yeah, nicely played. First match to Alberta over Quebec #1 team. So out of the 3 matches, they said we have to close out one more, and that match coming up will be between
Danielle Letourneau and Alexandra Newman.
Right.
So yeah, Alberta's looking pretty good right now with a 1-0 lead. They only need to win one more match to win that bronze medal. So it's going to be a pretty interesting one. There's going to be quite a bit of pressure on Alexandra's shoulders to try to keep this alive for the Quebec team. But Danielle is still young, and Alexandra again has a little bit more experience. So we might see something interesting happen.
I'd love to see a good contest come out of this.
And you can never count Alexandra out. She's going to give anyone a hard run.
Oh yeah, very smart, experienced woman.
I think I remember a couple of years ago when Donna, the Australian player that used to be top 20, Donna
Urquhart, who's now Donna Loban.
Oh, okay, there you go. So I remember Alexandra playing an exhibition match against her a couple of years ago at the MAA and really giving her a run around. At that time, I think Donna was about 13th in the world. So, Alexandra being retired is still giving her a really good run around. Definitely not counting her out. So that's why this could be a really good one between Alberta and Quebec. We'll come back when the next match is on. So see you in a bit. back to the Canadian Women's Team Squash Championships in Gatineau, Quebec, hosted by Squash Shootaway. Right now we have Alberta versus Quebec 1, which is the second match of this morning. Danielle Letourneau, number 39 in the world, versus Alexandra Norman from Quebec 1, who's number 26th in Canada. Once again, hi Mr. Perez, how's it going?
How you doing?
This should be a good one. We're just talking about this in the last match, trying to do a couple of predictions for this match. Do you have a prediction for this, Dad?
Well, it's the third and fourth playoff and the Women's Championship, Teams Championship here. Alberta, who was seeded second in this event, playing to win the bronze medal. Quebec, who were seeded fourth, which is the Quebec number 1 team. We have 2 teams here. They're up against a tough opposition. Really, the team that perhaps could have been in the final today. And the first match has gone to Jana Dweek over Tara Newman. That was 3-love. So this is the second of the 3 matches, and you've got world-class professional in Danielle Letourneau against one of our ex-champions, Canadian champions, who also played the Women's Tour for a number of years, Alexandra Norman. But, I think one would have to think that the person who's on full-time tour would hold a favoured position over the one who has come off the tour, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
However, Alexandra is a hell of a competitor, and she'll hang in there just as well as she can. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
You were talking about earlier that Danielle was now living in Cairo.
Yeah, she's really made a commitment to immersing herself in women's talent, and there's probably no stronger place to go to than Egypt. They command most of the top 10 positions in the World Women's Tour, as they do in the men's as well. So, yeah, that's quite a commitment, isn't it, to head over to such a foreign country and deal with culture and diet changes and
just incredibly good squash.
Yeah, she must be benefiting from that. And to be honest, I haven't seen Danielle play a lot in the last year. When she's on tour, she's obviously in places other than Canada. But watching her yesterday, there's a spark to her game. There's a speed that really impressed me. I thought this lady is one hell of an athlete to begin with, but her speed around the court was what made her look so dominant yesterday, playing against another PSA player in Nicole Bunyan, full-timer as well. Young lady who's got a lot of promise. But in that match yesterday, it was all Danielle with a range of finishing shots while she was under pressure, time and time again. So it was quite impressive how her game's come together now.
I was trying to think what would be most advantageous in this court, a hot court, being from Calgary with altitude, or being from Montreal but having the home crowd behind you.
Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, the talent and the athleticism and the
will make the real difference.
Yeah, the strength of the player might be the overall factor. Sunday morning, this crowd needs to be able to get behind these players. Everyone's a little subdued at the moment, but
I think they're still drinking their coffees.
It's only 6-4, isn't it? First game. Good shot there. Yeah, big open space to hit the forehand drive down.
With Alexandra's unorthodox swing, sometimes it can be hard to read it, right?
True.
In the front of the court.
Yeah, it is a bit unorthodox. Again, a great athlete, and for the trained squash player playing against Alex, they could find some difficulty in not quite reading the body position in Alex in her normal technique. It can be something that allows a player to anticipate where they might be heading to around the court, but it's something quite difficult to do when you're against a player who has a more unorthodox technique.
I think Danielle would be able to manage that, or at least adjust to it, right?
Well, she's definitely got that speed, right? That's going to be able to get her out of some trouble situations. To go, if she's misreading it,
yeah,
she's got the physical ability to go chase the ball down and keep herself within the rally. That was a stroke there, actually, from that obstruction caused by Alex. So,
pretty clear stroke that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
she went for the drop from the back of the court.
Just clipped the top of the tin, I think.
She's not afraid to push Danielle into the front of the court, which is a bit surprising to me, actually, because with Danielle's speed and her ability at the front, it's almost playing into her own strength. But I guess Alex, she feels she's got to try something here. She's got to try some form of attack in order to get a few points on the board and stay with Danielle.
Alex will have to be pretty careful because there's been a couple of times in the front of the court where there's been a bit of obstruction. Not always a lead or stroke, but there's always seemed to be a little contact there. So she doesn't want to put herself in a bad position.
Again, drop out of the back of the court. She's down game point.
Yeah.
Takes the risk, loses the game 11-7.
Yeah, probably not the best choice, especially on this court too, right? With a hot court with panelled walls, which the ball can bounce off, especially on the back of the court. It's hard to get that ball to die in the front or make it an effective shot.
Yep, sure is.
It has to be really, really precise.
Yeah.
And down 10-7 a game ball is probably not the best choice.
Right.
But second game, everyone turns around. It gets a bit better for the second game. So is Danielle. So, what do you think Alex could do differently to try to get, try to give Danielle a couple more?
Well, I think I would encourage her to avoid taking those risks from the back of the court like she's doing.
Yeah.
I think the basic game against a player like Danielle, you've really got to start with the foundation. You've got solid driving, using the height on the front to kick the ball to the back, and trying to shuffle your position where you can get in front of your opponent. Build your game from the centre of the court. You're closer to your target if you want to be shooting short. You can normally be more effective once you've got your opponent to the back and then decide to go in short. But what I've seen here is Alex just taking some chances to go in short while Danielle is basically in front of it. And Danielle's going to eat that stuff up.
Yeah, Danielle's too athletic, too good to so she can cover those easily, right?
She can cover, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, second game, things can turn around. It'd be fun to see it turn around too. Get a couple more games in. Quebec's medal is on the line here. Second game, they're down 1-love. 1-love in matches and 1-love in games. So, there's a bit of pressure on Alexandra. Sure, she's backed by the local crowd here. And there's Trevor, her husband,
and her daughter, right at the glass back.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it.
Come on, Mum.
There she is.
Let's go.
Alex just showing a little bit of tiredness there. Early in the second game, if she wants to give herself any chance, she's going to have to be careful of that, right? Showing a bit of weakness. That's a nice shot. I think
she's catching Alex flat-footed in the middle of the court there. You leave the ball loose in the middle like this, Danielle puts it away and exposes the reaction time on Alex. That's the difference between these two right now. Is Danielle's got that option to play pace or location like that. Wonderful straight volley, beautiful shot.
4-love now. A quick lead for Danielle.
And another mistake, post out of the back corner.
Seems like a tired mistake now.
Oh, it's unfortunate for Alex. She's going to get herself in a big hole here.
She seems to be recovering more than playing, right, or stepping onto the ball. Danielle's just holding that tee. Not really taking more than 2 or 3 steps off the tee, right? It's making Alexandra just run all over the place.
Should be a stroke there. I think it was virtually conceded by Danielle, that ball loose back at her feet.
Yeah.
Keep that job easy for referee Steve Oakey. Needs all the help he can get.
Haven't seen too much contested calls this weekend.
In fact, in this match, there's been virtually no let calls at all.
No, yeah, that's true. There's maybe one match yesterday where it got a little heated, but not much more than that.
Okay, no fisticuffs.
No fisticuffs.
The two women didn't break out and have a cat fight.
No.
Good. Oh, that should be a straightforward call. As a stroke, it looks like Alex has taken a good look at it.
And I think the crowd was helping out the players giving the stroke.
That's right, Steve. Make the right call here.
I just saw someone in the crowd putting their hand up. Would there be a rule against that for the member in the crowd to give out, say the call before the match?
They would be encouraged to keep their opinion to themselves. Yeah, but we've seen it, and in fact, there's places in the world where being a referee is perhaps one of the hardest jobs, particularly for the crowd that they might be amongst.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of vocal opinions coming forward. I don't think it's quite the same here in Canada or North America. People understand the game and know their position. But I've seen it before in other places where the referee has a crowd that they have to work against as well.
You're right. It is a really tough job for the ref, but I must say, as a viewer, seeing a crowd go absolutely wild is pretty entertaining, and it must be fun for the players.
True.
Well, depending on what side you're on, again. But I always love watching the PSA tournaments in Egypt and Latin America, because the crowd gets such into it.
Sure.
Sometimes Europe or North America can get a little bit more tame. But South Americans and especially the Egyptians, man, they get into it when they really want to.
Yeah, nice put away there, by the way. So Danielle closes out that second game, 11-5, up 2-love now, in a commanding lead. So Dom, you played some squash in South America, Brazil, I believe, Pan Am Junior Championships.
Yeah.
Teams event, individual event. What was your experience there with the crowds and putting up with a lot of noise and raucous that you might not have heard before?
Honestly, well, I played in Brasilia, so it's not the biggest squash community there, but it brought out something pretty interesting from playing in front of especially against the Colombians. I found that was when the Colombian team really got back their own team. Man, that was something pretty intense to be on the other side of. Especially, the crowd and the player interact with each other. I found on the court, the player will be fist pumping to their teammates in the crowd.
Yeah.
Which is really fun to see. Also a little bit intimidating when you're on the court.
Yeah, no doubt. Vamoose.
Vamos, yeah. So yeah, it's intense. It's really intense. Have you played a couple of tournaments in South America when you were on the tour?
No, never did get down there for that. But I sure love their spirit when I see all the players coming to the Canadian Junior Open, and the big bands of players get behind their peers in pressure matches. It's awesome to see how much they get into it. The vocalness, which I think is great in squash. I mean,
it is.
There's so many other sports out there where the crowd they're allowed to go crazy.
Yeah.
The heat of the moment's on.
Yeah.
Kicker is about to strike a penalty or a conversion. And the crowd aren't being asked to be quiet. I think there's something there for squash to allow the crowd to get into it the way that Latin Americans will do so. That they seem not to worry about excessive noise when matches are going on.
I read this article from a British journalist on I think it was on the BBC, but they were talking about squash and how he really loved how it was that PSA tournament in London.
Canary Wharf.
Yeah, that's it. He had gone over there and he was explaining how he was loving the intensity between rallies of people clapping, laughing, screaming, everything you could think of. But the moment that the serve happened, it just went silent.
Right.
And everyone got really caught into the game. He was explaining that it was one of the most unique things that he's seen, to have that intensity and then quiet.
Yeah. To the non-squash player, that might seem unusual. The juxtaposition of quietness and then crowd interaction. Much like tennis, though, in the same sort of way. I mean, you'll hear a silent crowd while the match is going on, while the rallies are being played, and then wonderful support and crowd excitement between the rallies.
Danielle just lobbed the ball right back to Alex.
Yeah, you see, so far in this game, Danielle's just got it all over her. She's, stretching out this lead now.
Yeah.
Alex is finding it quite a challenge to cover the court to the degree that Danielle's making her do. That's the difference, I think, between a player who was not playing PSA and now mother of 2 young children, compared to a 25-year-old ranked 39 in the world playing full-time, living in Cairo, Egypt.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference right there.
Right.
What year did Alex stop playing on the tour?
I'm going to think about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. That's pretty fresh.
But she'll still be playing Canadian Nationals and keep herself competitive amongst the top women's group in Canada.
Yep. Well, I remember even a couple of years ago, she was still coming out to the Squash Quebec training. I'd go up to Montreal to train, with Dave Barr, Jana, and Seb Bouclet with Yvonne Provençal. They'll be running the show, and of course, you'd most of the time see Alex show up to those. So she still says staying fit and trying to keep her game up, even for local games.
We might need to see her come join us in the Quebec Masters team as well for our Canadian Masters Championship. We've got quite a few players who are coming into that realm now, past their full-time playing days, but still a great community of Masters squash players out there for competition.
They're saying Tara, who's also on this Quebec team, she plays on the Masters with you guys, right?
Yeah, she's done that for several years now too. So, she's doing great service to squash in Quebec, playing in the Women's Open team and in the Masters team as well. And she's also played some real clutch matches for us as well at times where we needed that win. She's such a feisty player. We could count on her to get us through, and she's done that over and over again. Great team player.
Can you recall a specific game?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the opponent was, and so this won't be much of an impression if I can't tell you who she was playing against. But she did pull us through, and when we were 3-all, and the 7th match was the one to win the competition. Anyway, look what's just happened here. Danielle has just streaked ahead in that 3rd game and closed it out 11-2 to win this match, 3-love, and that will mean Alberta takes the tie, 2 matches to love, and wins the bronze medal.
There you go, bronze medal for Alberta. This would be, they've won it in the past. They've won it in 2015, and they won it last year in Edmonton, their home province. So this is not bad record for them. Winning in the last 5 years twice, and then a bronze medal this year. It's not that bad for them. I can't see here, they most likely have won silver or bronze within the last 5 years too. Anyways, we have now coming up Sarah Hall versus Sophie Joubarne from Quebec 1. I think it could be an interesting match. I predicted a 5-setter. I don't know which way it would go, but I'm pretty sure it will go 5.
Time for us to see a 5-setter on a Sunday morning. All right, well, we'll be back at this when the ladies get ready to start the first set.
Welcome back, guys. We're into the third match of the bronze medal roundup between Alberta and Quebec. If you just tuned in, Alberta has already taken the bronze medal, winning the last 2 games. So they're up 2-0 now. This is more of a fun match. If you want to put it that way. So we got Sarah Hall versus Sophie Joubarne. I still think this is going to 5.
Okay. All right. Well, dead rubber, but the girls are not going to be playing as if it's a dead rubber. You can bet.
No. Yeah.
Alberta, like you said, they've won the bronze already.
Yeah.
But they still play for pride, and they're here for a result for their team.
Yep.
And you can never count Sophie out. She's experienced competitor as well, and she'll give this the best shot. In fact, yesterday it was interesting watching Sarah playing. She was in a position, first match up in their semi-final tie with British Columbia.
Yep.
Sarah, who's on the right-hand side in the white skirt, she was up 2-0 and succumbed to a comeback by Lindsay Segenson.
Mm-hmm.
And
Both left-handers.
Yeah, both left-handers. That's unusual to see.
Yep.
Lost that match 12-10 in the fifth. It was a real nail-biter, and that allowed BC to win one more match and then go through into the final. That'll be played later today here on this court.
Noticed yesterday, even when Sarah and Lindsay were playing, even though they were both left-handers, they were still playing a lot on the left-hand side of the court.
Yeah.
Though they could send it to their backhands, they were keeping a lot on their forehands.
Yeah. Well, both of them real strong forehand hitters as well, so I think they were looking to use their forehand strength and try and pass the ball on each other down that forehand side, the left-hand side of the court for both of them.
It's an interesting one having a left-hander and a right-hander on a narrow court, because there'll be obviously a lot of cross courts by both players playing from a different hand. So with a narrow court, it's a bit harder to get that ball past the player on the cross court. So.
It can negate the effect of width on a cross court.
Mm-hmm.
This court being 1 foot narrower, so from the tee position 6 inches on either side, that the sidewall is closer to the middle. And like you say, a player who wants to stand up on the tee can have the ability to cut cross courts off in a fashion that's just more difficult to do on a conventional 21 foot wide court, this being a 20 foot court. 20 foot because it's a converted rackable court.
Okay, 4-3 now. So well into the first game. They seem to be using a bit more of all 4 corners right now. But, that's a good shot. Long rally here.
Yeah, great exchange.
Yeah. Oh, just as I say that. Good shot though. Low and hard. Get that ball skidding. Sophie seems to be quite a bit weaker on that backhand compared to Sarah's forehand.
I wonder if that could be the telling side. Sarah's strength on her backhand, on her forehand on the left-hand side to try and expose Sophie's backhand side on the same side of the court. So she's evened up here. Yeah,
frame,
exactly. Well,
ball in the middle.
yeah, a good example of a weak return, and then ball comes to the middle, put away.
That forehand side from Sophie, though, it's much stronger.
Then her backhand, you mean?
Yeah, than her backhand. And, it'll only be a matter of time before actually Sarah finds that out.
So there could be sort of an attack-defense strategy here where Sophie has to try and stay away from her own backhand side. Keep the game onto her forehand if she's aware of what we're seeing. She's getting to it here though. Moved around the court. I think when there's more movement being asked of Sophie, that's where Sarah's going to go into a position of strength. I think between the two, you're probably better fitness than Sarah.
Yeah, I'd agree. Oh,
wow.
Damn. That
ball died at the back. She left it too late. 10-7 to Sarah, first game point.
It was a really quick 10-7 too.
My
there
word.
we go.
Yep.
Feels like just a couple of minutes ago Sophie was up 7-5, I believe, and I think that's 6 points in a row quickly. So Sophie's going to have to turn this around. Maybe it was just a mental lapse there that made her fall into that little hole. But the second game she should bounce back, hopefully.
All right. Let's see.
I did predict a 5-setter, so hoping for it.
Okay.
They will resume in 60 seconds. Alberta leads 28-11. And now, 1 love.
Okay, 1 love now for Sarah, and 1 love in points now for Sophie. Sophie had a little lapse there at the end of the last game, being up I think 7-5, and quickly losing 6 points to lose that game. Another mistake there. Sophie's really going to have to cut down those mistakes if she wants to give herself any chance. We're talking about Sophie's backhand looking considerably weaker, and wonder if Sarah has noticed that between games, or she got told that by a teammate, and try to expose it a bit more. That was a good post, actually. Good post. Yeah. That's good. Sophie's really cutting everything off, and she just won the point there. Like there was 3 or 4 volleys in a row. She's going to have to do a bit more of that to hold that tee. So, she can get Sarah moving a bit more to the back of the court and to the front. So there you go. That's probably why Sophie got a bit tight at the end there. She's probably moving a bit more.
and Sarah. Mistake there from Sarah, just keeping Sophie in the game. That was a good shot though.
These players are ranked about the same, don't they?
Yeah, Sophie's 57 in Canada and Sarah's 42nd, so
Okay.
there's a little gap, but close enough on the overall.
Oh, a good
That's a good
example. Sarah really just held that tee,
Yeah,
moved left and right, but really didn't get taken in front or behind it. Once again, she's just holding that position. Turns back. Here's the strength opportunity.
seems unforced error there, but
Knocks
she
into the top of the tennis.
Yeah, she cut that ball down from the front of the court. It's she's looking for that really fine line, and you were always the one to tell me to go safe on those drops, and just cutting that ball down, it was the opportunity of hitting the tin was so much higher.
Nice post there. Yeah, took Sophie by surprise, I think. So this being the third match, dead rubber, right, Dom? Where we have a 2-1 result.
Yep.
Excuse me, 2-love result to Alberta. So they've wrapped up the bronze medal. So really, regardless of what happens in this match, the result's final. But after this, Dom, there's the Women's Championship final between
BC and Ontario.
Okay.
Which will be a pretty good roundup. We'll have Holly Norton, who's 29th in the world. Who's a career high for her right now. Playing Nicole Bunyan, who's 65th in the world. Then in the second place from BC is Grace Thomas, who's 5th in Canada, versus Molly Chadwick, who's still a junior, who's number 1 U17. And of course another junior in the Ontario team with Iman Shaheen from the local region from Ottawa. She's number 1 in the under 15s, doing really, really well there, and she's going to be playing Lindsay Sedgenson, who had that 5-game thriller yesterday against Sarah.
Outstanding. That's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah.
BC surprise finalists, really, aren't they?
Yeah, well, this will be a pretty close one because Ontario, I'd say BC has a better 1-2-3, while Ontario has a better 1. So it'll be an interesting one to see who will come through. Right.
And you're running the commentary again, Dominic?
Yes, and
Who's your guest?
I'll have Heather Wallace on, former world number 6.
Outstanding.
And 10-time, I think, Canadian champion. Just dominated the 90s.
Yeah, that'll be great.
So she'll
hear the wisdom of Heather joining us.
11-8 there. That was a quick game for Sarah, going up 2-love. Not looking too good for my 5-setter prediction. But Sarah was up 2-love yesterday, so we don't know what happens.
That's true.
Yeah,
she's been in the same position and lost from here. So let's see what happens now. Sophie's going to have to pull one out though. Okay, back soon.
Alberta leads 2 games to love. Come on.
Okay, all right.
It's 2-love now in games and 2-love in matches. Sarah seems to be running through this a bit more comfortably than I was expecting.
Sarah Hall in the white stripe, right, against
Yep.
Sophie Joubarne.
Yeah.
Black stripe receiving the serve now.
It's a little hard to differentiate, and the shirts look almost the same.
Hey, Rise, can you read the back of the shirt, okay?
Well,
Quebec,
no, not
Alberta.
yeah. Well, you
Straight
look straight
on
on
the
the
back
court,
too,
yeah. But if you look on the computer, it's quality
What
sometimes.
do you think? Stroke there?
Yeah, that's a stroke.
Solid stroke.
But that's what I mean with the new rules. Sometimes that could be a let depending on the ref. It's a little confusing. It seems like a grey area now. That area, it might be a little dangerous, don't you think, to try to get those to give those shots some lets, because some players will probably try to keep a bit more space or not clear enough, and then the other player thinking, I'll just be a let, I'll hit that shot and get one in the face.
Well, yeah, I always told you, don't leave it up to the referee to decide what's going to happen in your match.
Yeah.
So I'm one for playing the ball. Others might consider that differently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
But that's what I mean, right? I'd agree with you to play the ball in those situations, but that's what I mean. It could get a little dangerous now because it's sort of a grey area.
Yep.
It's not so clear anymore.
Right.
So
the referees are they're making decisions in the interest of making the players go play that ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're seeing a lot more no lets being given in situations where players felt that they would be entitled to a let,
Mm-hmm.
and that can bring a surprising result. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the interpretation of the rule between referees can be somewhat mixed, but it's up to the players to adapt to how the match is getting refereed, and working within an understanding between 3 people, the referee and the 2 people on the court. Always been a tough job,
Yep.
in a game like this where there's so much potential physical closeness between 2 competitors on the court.
Also, the smaller courts mean there's
That's right.
there's more chance of contact, right?
Yep.
And clearing that ball when you send it straight is much harder.
Oh yeah, on this
Yeah.
court it is. That's right. You play this tight drive down the sidewall. You've got to make sure you get away from it as quick as you can. Well, we saw this in the previous 2 matches where in the 3rd game the player who was leading 2-love just went on a roll, and that's what's happening here. Sarah has opened up a big margin, and I think your 5-set prediction is really in jeopardy here, Dominic.
Yep, unfortunately.
In fact, you're not even close to a good prediction. Okay.
You're just trying to make me feel bad now?
9-1. Look what's happening here. Sarah is,
Out of court, there we go.
The ghosts of Sportec.
Yeah.
That's what happens on this narrow court. You pop a serve up there close to the line, and what you think's going to be in turns into going out.
It's 6 inches is not that much of a difference, right? But it can make a big difference in the angle that you take on the wall to do those serves.
Okay, so match point here to Sarah. It's looking
Oh, that's a nice drop.
much like it's going to be a formality from here, and this and that will wrap up the tie.
Sophie's just got Sarah exactly where she wants. Okay.
Oh, you think so?
It's a mental thing.
Right.
It's all mental games.
Well, hang in there, everyone, because we're going to see no comeback. That is the end of the match.
Just as I say that.
All right, so 3 matches to love by Alberta over Quebec.
There we go.
A nice effort from the ladies.
Bronze medal there for Alberta. Great effort from Quebec, coming 4th place in this Canadian Women's Teams Champs, hosted by Squash Shootaway here in Gatineau, Quebec at La Sportec. Thanks, Dad, Mr. Prez of Squash Canada.
Happy to be here, Dom.
Thanks for coming out.
No problem. I'll make it up back at church next week.
Okay. See you later, guys. We'll see you at 11 for the gold medal match between Ontario and BC. We got guest speaker Heather Wallace that will come on to speak with us. She'll give a nice insight for the gold medal match. So stay tuned. See you at 11.